Take a look at this story, which is too shameful to be called just a family drama. It's a catastrophe unfolding before everyone's eyes, and if it weren't for the main character's name, no one would believe that such a thing is possible in life, and not on the stage of the darkest thriller. This is not a scandalous chronicle of royal intrigues, but a story of a failed humanistic mission, hypocrisy raised to an absolute, and consequences that no one could have imagined, but which are more real than the fears of an ordinary person. Meghan Markle's sister, Samantha Markle, has come forward with harsh accusations, stating that Thomas Markle, Meghan's 79-year-old father, is trapped on the 19th floor of a high-rise building in the Philippines after a 6.9 magnitude earthquake. According to her, the elevators are not working, Thomas cannot walk, aftershocks are looming, and his daughter, who is called a humanist, is nowhere to be found. Samantha directly stated that Meghan is directly responsible for her father being in this nightmarish situation. She claims that years of alleged cruelty, media manipulation, and heartless indifference on Meghan's part forced Thomas to go into hiding abroad, which led him to the Philippines, where he is now fighting for survival. Samantha finds the timing particularly cynical, as Meghan and Harry are due to receive a humanitarian award in New York just days before. She called Meghan disgusting and evil, demanding an explanation as to why Harry and Meghan are not using their boundless resources to save her father. Where's the helicopter? Where are the diplomatic connections? Where is even one phone call to see if he's okay? Samantha emphasized that if Meghan had treated Thomas with any decency, he would never have ended up in the Philippines. He wouldn't have fled there in search of peace from the relentless attacks of fake news that Samantha claims were orchestrated by Meghan. He wouldn't be trapped now, scared and helpless. The allegations are staggering. Samantha insists that Meghan's alleged treatment of Thomas led to his deteriorating health, 2 heart attacks, a stroke, reduced mobility, all of which, according to Samantha, Meghan ignored, never checking on him, never offering help. And now, in his most desperate hour, she is still silent. Samantha publicly condemns her, and she is not alone. Royal commentators are joining in, asking the same brutal question. How can you call yourself a humanist when your own father is in a disaster zone and you do nothing? Samantha went on to reveal even more shocking details about Meghan's alleged role in bringing Thomas to this critical state, and it all started long before the earthquake. Thomas Markle is experiencing a real nightmare, and the details are horrifying. He is stuck on the 19th floor of a building in the Philippines that has just been hit by a 6.9 magnitude earthquake. The building does not meet building codes, the elevators are completely out of service. Emergency services are trying to do something, but no one is rushing to help. And Thomas cannot walk, he is virtually immobile, trapped in a high-rise building that could collapse in the next aftershock, and there is no clear way to evacuate him. Samantha described the situation in detail during a live interview, her voice trembling with emotion. She explained that their father is stuck there with a friend who came from the UK, but all 3 are alone there. No police, no rescue teams nearby, just waiting and hoping that the building will hold up, and praying that the aftershocks will not collapse it all. Samantha even suggested desperate measures, to put Thomas on pillows and a shower curtain and drag him down 19 flights of stairs. Easier said than done, and it's absolutely terrifying even to imagine. But what choice do they have if the building starts to collapse? The buildings in that area are not like the ones in Los Angeles, built on rollers for seismic resistance. These structures were not designed for an earthquake of this magnitude. Samantha made it clear. The fear is real, the danger is immediate, and her father is absolutely helpless. He has already suffered 2 heart attacks and a stroke. His health is fragile, his mobility is lost. And now he is trapped in a structurally questionable building in a disaster zone with ongoing threats of aftershocks. But this is where Samantha's fury reached boiling point. She didn't just describe the horror of the situation. She directly pointed the finger at Meghan. According to Samantha, Thomas wouldn't even be in the Philippines if it wasn't for Meghan's alleged treatment of him. He fled there to escape, to find peace, to hide from the relentless attacks of the media, which Samantha claims were fueled by Meghan's PR machine. Thomas was not on vacation. He was not traveling. He was seeking refuge from the heartbreak, stress, and humiliation that allegedly drove him into seclusion. Samantha was adamant. Meghan's actions, or lack thereof, forced their father into a situation where he felt he had to leave the country just to survive emotionally. And now that decision has put him in mortal danger. cruelty, neglect, alleged fake news. All of this, in Samantha's opinion, led to this moment. Thomas is trapped because Megan allegedly broke his heart, ruined his reputation, and drove him to the brink. And throughout all of this, through 2 heart attacks, a stroke, and now a catastrophic earthquake, Megan has not contacted him once, not even to find out if he is alive. But the story gets even darker if you delve into what Samantha claims Megan did to initially destroy their father. Samantha held nothing back as she detailed how Megan allegedly ruined their father's life over the years. This was not a vague accusation. It was a specific, personal, and utterly scathing assertion. According to Samantha, Megan orchestrated a campaign of media attacks that portrayed Thomas as a villain, a liar, and a burden. Fake news, she claimed, insulted him again and again after he gave Megan everything: his 40-year career as an Emmy Award-winning lighting director, all the blood, sweat, and tears he put into giving his daughter a better life, allegedly meant nothing to her once she married a member of the royal family. Samantha described how the relentless negative press made Thomas reclusive. He stopped leaving the house, avoided public places. The stress became unbearable, and his health began to crumble. The media attention was not just unpleasant, it was allegedly life-threatening. Thomas suffered a first heart attack, then a second, then a stroke, all in his 80s, while his health was rapidly deteriorating. And throughout each of these emergencies, Samantha claims, Megan never contacted him, never sent a message, never made sure he was getting proper care. Nothing. But it gets worse. Samantha claimed that the constant attacks made Thomas feel like he needed to disappear. He couldn't stay in the United States. He couldn't stay in Mexico, where he lived. The media wouldn't leave him alone, and the alleged heartbreak from Megan's indifference was crushing him. So he fled. He went to the Philippines, hoping to find peace, salvation from the chaos that his daughter's fame and alleged cruelty had brought into his life. He wasn't running to something. He was running from pain. And Samantha made it clear. Megan knew what she was doing. The nasty PR, the lies, the public humiliation, all of it, according to Samantha, was deliberate. Megan allegedly wanted to distance herself from Thomas, to erase him from her new royal narrative, and she did it by allowing the media to destroy him. Samantha called it a betrayal of the worst kind. Thomas gave Megan everything. He was there for her in her teens, during college, in all the important moments of her life before Harry came along, and that's how she allegedly repaid him. The emotional weight of Samantha's words was undeniable. She wasn't just angry, she was heartbroken. She kept repeating that their father wouldn't be in the Philippines if it wasn't for Megan's treatment of him. He wouldn't have fled. He wouldn't be trapped in a collapsing building now. The earthquake didn't put him there. Megan did. That was Samantha's message, and she delivered it without the slightest hesitation. But while Samantha was pouring out her heart about her father's suffering, Megan was reportedly preparing for something that made the whole situation even more grotesque. And the timing couldn't be more offensive. While Thomas Markle clings to life on the 19th floor of a disaster-stricken building, Meghan Markle is reportedly preparing to accept a humanitarian award in New York. Let that sink in for a moment. Her father is in a life-or-death situation, and she is supposedly preparing to be honored as one of the most compassionate people on the planet. The irony is not just striking, it is absolutely sickening. Samantha didn't miss the opportunity to point out this distorted timing. She made it clear. How can someone who supposedly ignores their own father during multiple heart attacks, a stroke, and now a catastrophic earthquake call themselves a humanist? How can you stand on a stage, accept an award for caring for people, and not lift a finger to help the man who gave you everything? The hypocrisy, according to Samantha, is overwhelming. Royal commentators have also joined in the criticism. Christine Hamilton, during the same interview, pointed out that Meghan has the resources to move mountains. She can open diplomatic doors. She has connections that most people can only dream of. If she wanted to help Thomas, she could. One phone call could engage consulates. A helicopter rescue may not be available to the average person, but for someone with Meghan's wealth and influence, it is not impossible. It's just a matter of whether she cares enough to try. But according to Samantha, Meghan doesn't care, not one bit. She hasn't contacted him, she hasn't sent help, she hasn't even publicly acknowledged the situation. Instead, she is supposedly focused on her image, her awards, her next public appearance. Samantha called it a tragic comedy. Meghan is reportedly paying for humanitarian awards for herself, while her father hangs by a thread. The priorities, Samantha argued, couldn't be more distorted. And it's not just about this one moment. Samantha made it clear that this is part of a bigger picture. Meghan has supposedly demonstrated time and time again that her public image is more important than the people who sacrificed for her. Thomas is just the most obvious example. He worked 70 hours a week, won 3 Emmys, and poured everything into giving Meghan opportunities, and she allegedly discarded him as soon as he became inconvenient to her royal narrative. Now, as he faces one of the scariest moments of his life, Meghan is reportedly silent. No statement, no action, no acknowledgement, just business as usual. Samantha didn't hesitate to call things what they are. You don't deserve any awards if you can't even take care of your own father. And if you're paying for this award yourself, it becomes an even bigger farce, given the circumstances. But the accusations didn't end there, because if Meghan's alleged indifference is one thing, the deeper question is whether she even has a heart. And Samantha had thoughts on that too. Samantha didn't just question Meghan's actions at this particular moment. She wondered if Meghan had any humanity left at all. This was not a casual observation. It was a brutal, unfiltered accusation that Meghan may be fundamentally incapable of compassion. Samantha directly stated that she doubted her sister had a conscience. She compared the situation to Scrooge, who gets a heart in A Christmas Carol, but she doesn't believe that will ever happen with Meghan. The words were harsh, but Samantha backed them up with a pattern of behavior that she said speaks for itself. She pointed out that Meghan and Harry allegedly bullied Queen Elizabeth when she was suffering from bone cancer. She mentioned Prince Philip. She asked why anyone should be shocked that Meghan is ignoring her father's plight when she has supposedly shown disregard for so many others. The evidence, according to Samantha, is everywhere. Meghan doesn't care about people. She cares about herself. Christine Hamilton went even further during the interview. She called Meghan a narcissistic monster if she continues to ignore this situation. Hamilton argued that even if Meghan has no personal feelings for Thomas, even if she genuinely doesn't care, her PR team should be screaming at her to do something. From a purely strategic point of view, ignoring your father during a natural disaster while receiving a humanitarian award is a PR nightmare. But Meghan supposedly doesn't see it that way, or even worse, she doesn't care. Hamilton went on to say that Meghan doesn't have a single human bone in her body if she lets this pass without action. It's not about forgiveness, it's not about reconciliation, it's about basic human decency. Your father is trapped in a collapsing building, you have the resources to help, you do nothing. That, according to Hamilton, is not just cold-blooded, it's monstrous. Neil Hamilton also remarked that he doesn't understand what motivates Meghan. He knows what he thinks motivates her, money, status, career advancement, but he can't understand how a normal person can react the way she does to any situation. According to him, it's always about promoting herself, always about the next opportunity, never about the people who got her there. Samantha supported all of this. She said she had been fighting against Meghan's alleged callous indifference for years, but this moment is different. This is not just neglect, it's life or death. And if Meghan can't bring herself to act now, when her father is literally fighting for survival, then Samantha believes it proves once and for all that Meghan is exactly who she seems to be, a person who only cares about herself. But here's what makes it even more painful. Meghan and Thomas didn't always have such a toxic relationship. In fact, they were once incredibly close. And understanding how that connection was supposedly destroyed makes the current situation even more heartbreaking. Meghan and Thomas Markle were not always estranged. In fact, their relationship was once incredibly strong, loving, and publicly celebrated. Samantha made it clear during the interview, Thomas was everything to Meghan. He was there in her teens during college. He supported her dreams, paid for her education, and gave her every opportunity to succeed. And Meghan acknowledged it. She praised him in social. She spoke about how much he meant to her. The connection was real and deep. But then Prince Harry came along, and according to Samantha, everything changed. Suddenly, Thomas went from being Meghan's hero to a problem. He became inconvenient. He didn't fit the narrative that Meghan was supposedly trying to create for her new royal life, and instead of defending him, instead of supporting the man who had given her everything, Meghan allegedly completely turned her back on him. Samantha didn't sugarcoat it. She said Thomas was erased. The moment Meghan married into the royal family, her father became collateral damage. The media turned on him, and Samantha claims Meghan did nothing to stop it. In fact, she supposedly fueled it. The fake news painted Thomas as a villain, someone who had betrayed Meghan, someone who wasn't worthy of being part of her new life. And Meghan, according to Samantha, allowed it to happen. She stood by and watched as her father was destroyed. It wasn't a gradual estrangement, it was an abrupt, calculated cut-off. Thomas went from being lauded to being vilified almost overnight, and it took a devastating toll on him. Samantha described how the change broke his heart. He couldn't understand what he had done wrong. He had supported Meghan his entire life, and now she was supposedly letting the world tear him apart. The emotional blow was crushing, and his health suffered as a result. What makes it even more painful is that Thomas wasn't asking for much. He wasn't demanding money, he wasn't seeking fame. He simply wanted to be a part of his daughter's life. He wanted recognition, he wanted respect. And, according to Samantha, Meghan couldn't give him even that. She allegedly chose her new royal image over her own father, and never looked back. Samantha pointed out that it wasn't Doria, Meghan's mother, who was there for Meghan in her formative years. It was Thomas. It was he who worked 70-hour weeks. It was he who won Emmy Awards and poured every penny into giving Meghan the life she wanted. Doria had her role, but Thomas was the constant factor. And now Meghan is supposedly acting like he never existed. The betrayal, according to Samantha, is unforgivable. And it's not just about the past, it's about the present. Thomas is in danger, and Meghan is allegedly still refusing to act. But Samantha didn't stop at accusations against Meghan. She also had words for Prince Harry, and they were equally scathing. Samantha didn't let Prince Harry off the hook. Not at all. In fact, she made it clear that Harry is as complicit in this alleged betrayal as Meghan is. Where is the chivalry? Where is the military honor? Where is the basic human decency that one would expect from a man who served in the armed forces? Samantha asked these questions over, and her anger was palpable. Harry allegedly stood by and watched as Meghan treated Thomas horribly and did nothing to stop it. According to Samantha, Harry was a participant in the vile fake news stories and the paid PR campaigns that destroyed Thomas. He didn't intervene. He didn't protect him. He allegedly allowed Meghan to create a narrative that painted Thomas as a villain, and Harry went along with it. Samantha called it a complete lack of moral compass. If Harry truly cared about doing what's right, if he truly valued family and integrity, he would have stepped in. He would have insisted that Meghan treat her father with respect, but he didn't. He allegedly enabled the entire situation. Samantha went even further, touching on Harry and Meghan's alleged behavior toward Queen Elizabeth. She referenced reports that the couple mocked the Queen while she was suffering from bone cancer. The pain, the suffering, the humiliation of that moment, and Harry and Meghan allegedly turned it into a joke. Samantha asked, why should anyone expect them to develop a moral conscience now? If they could allegedly disrespect the Queen during her final suffering, why would they care about Thomas? The comparison was brutal, but Samantha didn't stop there. She also mentioned Prince Philip. The pattern, she argued, is clear. Harry and Meghan allegedly have no respect for family. They don't honor the people who came before them. They don't care about anyone but themselves. And if they could treat the royal family with such alleged disregard, of course they would treat Thomas the same way. Samantha admitted that she shouldn't be shocked. She said she should have expected it. Harry has shown his true colors, and they are not the colors of a man who values loyalty, duty, or compassion. He is allegedly just as self-centered as Meghan, just as willing to discard people when they are no longer useful. And now that Thomas is in a life-threatening situation, Harry is silent. No statements, no actions, no sense of urgency, just another day in the life of someone who allegedly only cares about his image. The lack of response from Harry, according to Samantha, is particularly appalling because he has the resources and connections to help. He could make calls, he could mobilize support. He could use his platform to bring attention to Thomas's situation and pressure the authorities to act. But he's doing none of it. And Samantha made it clear that this isn't an oversight, it's a choice. But what's most outrageous is that Harry and Meghan are about to be celebrated for their humanitarian work, while they allegedly do nothing to help the man who gave Meghan everything. The timing of this humanitarian award couldn't be more grotesque. In just a few days, Harry and Meghan are scheduled to appear in New York City to receive an award recognizing them as Humanitarians of the Year. They will reportedly walk the red carpet, smile for the cameras, give speeches about compassion and service, and bask in the applause of people who believe they are making the world a better place. And all of this is happening while Thomas Markle is literally fighting for his life in the Philippines. Samantha was livid at the hypocrisy. She pointed out that Meghan is allegedly spending money on awards for herself, supposedly paying organizations to honor her, while her own father is hanging by a thread. The priorities, according to Samantha, are completely backward. If you truly care about humanity, if you truly believe in helping people, you start with your own family. You don't ignore your father during a natural disaster and then accept an award for compassion. That's not humanitarianism. That's fraud. Christine Hamilton emphasized this point even further. She said that if Meghan proceeds with accepting this award without doing anything to help Thomas, it will be proof that she is nothing more than a self-promoter. Hamilton argued that most people who receive humanitarian awards do so because they have dedicated their lives to helping others, often without recognition, often without resources. Many of them sacrifice their own comfort to make a difference in the world. And here's Meghan, allegedly ignoring her own father while collecting accolades for caring about people. The contrast is staggering. Hamilton also pointed out that right now in the Philippines, in the midst of this disaster, there are people doing more to help others than Meghan allegedly is. Rescue workers are risking their lives. Strangers are pulling people from the rubble. Everyday heroes who will never receive an award, will never be recognized, but who are actually living the values that Meghan is supposedly being honored for. These people, Hamilton argued, are the ones who deserve a humanitarian award, not someone who allegedly can't even pick up the phone to check on her father. Neil Hamilton added that the whole situation is absurd. He said, "You just couldn't make this up. The optics are catastrophic. The moral failure is obvious, and yet Meghan and Harry are reportedly proceeding with the event as if nothing is happening." Neil questioned whether Meghan's PR team realizes how terrible this looks, or if they simply don't care anymore. Either way, the damage to her reputation, he argued, should be irreparable. Samantha summed it up perfectly. You can't call yourself a humanitarian when you have limitless resources, diplomatic access, and the ability to help someone in dire need, and you choose to do nothing. That's not compassion. That's not service. That's selfishness dressed up in a pretty title. And if Meghan accepts this award without taking action, Samantha believes it will be the ultimate proof that everything Meghan claims to be is a lie. But the question everyone is asking now is simple. Will Meghan do anything? The question hanging over this entire disaster is whether Meghan will finally step up and do something, anything at all. Samantha made a direct emotional appeal during the interview, and the desperation in her voice was impossible to ignore. She urged Meghan to use her wealth, her connections, her influence, all the resources that most people could only dream of, to help get Thomas out of that building. Because if anyone can make it happen, it's Meghan. Samantha pointed out that Meghan has access to diplomats, consulates, and high-level contacts around the world. One phone call could potentially mobilize aid. One message to the right person could result in prioritized emergency services. One public statement could bring global attention to Thomas's situation and pressure local authorities to act faster. Meghan has the power to make a difference, and Samantha is begging her to use it. But Samantha isn't naive. She admitted during the interview that she doubts Meghan will lift a finger. She said, "You can't get blood from a stone, and if Meghan hasn't shown any concern by now, it's probably not going to happen." But Samantha still felt the need to say it out loud, to put it on record, so that the world would know that Meghan had every opportunity to help. But she chose not to. Samantha wants that moment to hang on Meghan's conscience, assuming, as she said, that Meghan even has a conscience. Christine Hamilton echoed Samantha's plea, saying that any decent daughter would be rushing to do everything in her power right now. Hamilton argued that even if Meghan and Thomas are estranged, even if there is animosity between them, now is not the time for grudges. This is a matter of life and death. And if Meghan can't put aside her feelings long enough to ensure her father's safety, then she doesn't deserve to be called a humanitarian. Hamilton went so far as to say that Meghan could potentially save Thomas's life if she acted quickly. The question is, does she care enough to try? Neil Hamilton added that even from a purely strategic standpoint, Meghan needs to do something. The public backlash to ignoring the situation will be severe. The headlines will be devastating. Her reputation, already fragile in many circles, could suffer a blow from which it never recovers. But Neil acknowledged that Meghan has ignored public opinion before, and she will likely do it again. She, he argued, only seems to care about the narrative she controls, not the reality that everyone else sees. Samantha made it clear that she isn't expecting a miracle. She isn't holding her breath, waiting for Meghan to suddenly develop empathy, but she wanted to make the request public, to apply pressure, to make sure that if Thomas doesn't get help, everyone knows exactly who failed him. And if Meghan does take action, even quietly, even privately, Samantha said she will accept it. Just do the right thing. Just help your father. That's all anyone is asking. But as the hours tick by and the aftershocks continue, Meghan's silence is deafening. And that silence may be the loudest statement of all. Meghan's silence isn't just noticeable, it's condemning. Hours have passed since the news of the earthquake broke. Hours since Samantha posted her emotional plea on social media. Hours since the world learned that Thomas Markle is trapped, vulnerable, and in real danger. And from Meghan, absolute radio silence. No statement, no acknowledgement, no indication that she is even aware of what's happening to her father. And that silence, according to Samantha and the commentators who have spoken out, speaks volumes about who Meghan really is. Samantha made it clear that this isn't the first time Meghan has been silent during a family crisis. When Thomas had his first heart attack, Meghan allegedly said nothing. When he had his second heart attack, still nothing. When he suffered a stroke and lost the ability to walk, Meghan reportedly didn't reach out. The pattern is consistent and chilling. Meghan has allegedly mastered the art of pretending her father doesn't exist. And this earthquake is just the latest example of that cold indifference. But this time, the stakes are higher. This isn't just about hurt feelings or strained relationships. This is about survival. Thomas is in a structurally unsound building that could collapse at any moment. Aftershocks are still rocking the region. He is immobile, terrified, and completely dependent on others to get him to safety. And Meghan, who has the power to potentially make a difference, is allegedly doing nothing. She isn't using her platform. She isn't making calls. She isn't even issuing a public statement expressing concern. She is simply silent. Christine Hamilton argued that this silence is a choice. Meghan is choosing not to act. She is choosing not to care. And that choice, according to Hamilton, reveals everything you need to know about her character. You can't call yourself a humanitarian and then ignore your own father when he is in mortal danger. That's not how it works. Humanitarianism starts at home. It starts with the people who are closest to you. And if you can't show compassion to your own family, then everything else you do is just an act. Neil Hamilton added that Meghan has always been skilled at controlling her narrative. She releases statements when it benefits her. She gives interviews when she wants to shape public perception. She strategically uses her platform to promote her image, but when something happens that doesn't fit her carefully crafted story, she goes silent. And this situation definitely doesn't fit. It's messy. It's complicated. It makes her look bad. So she allegedly ignores it and hopes it will go away. Samantha summed it up directly. How dire does this have to get before Meghan cares? How many people have to suffer? How close to death does Thomas have to be before she picks up the phone? Samantha doesn't have the answers, but she believes that the questions themselves are revealing enough. And yet, the latest twist in this story may be the most telling of all. P. The latest twist in this story isn't just about what Meghan is supposedly not doing right now. It's about what this whole situation reveals about her priorities, her values, and the image she's cultivated for years. Because if you strip away the polished PR, the carefully crafted speeches, and the humanitarian awards, what remains, according to Samantha and others, is someone who has allegedly left a trail of pain and oblivion in her wake. Samantha didn't hold back, asking how many people have to be hurt before Meghan is held accountable. She pointed to Thomas, obviously, but also alluded to the royal family, the alleged slights against Queen Elizabeth, the reported disrespect towards Prince Philip, the rumors of tension with Kate Middleton and Prince William. The list, according to Samantha, goes on and on. And yet, Meghan continues to position herself as the victim, as the one who has been wronged, as the one who deserves sympathy and admiration. Kristen Hamilton called it a pattern of narcissism. She argued that Meghan only cares about Meghan. Everything revolves around her image, her brand, her next opportunity. Other people aren't individuals with feelings and needs. They're props in her story. And when those props stop serving a purpose, they're discarded. Thomas is just the most obvious example. He gave her everything, and the moment he became inconvenient, he was allegedly erased. Neil Hamilton said what makes this situation so disturbing is its utter coldness. Most people, even in estranged relationships, would feel some sense of obligation during a life-threatening crisis. Most people would at least call, send a message, see if their father was okay. But Meghan, according to all the evidence presented, did none of those things. And Neil argued that it's not just a failure of empathy, it's a complete absence of it. Samantha went even further. She said that being in such close proximity to people with limitless resources, people who could change the situation with a single phone call, and watching them do nothing, is torture. She sees what could be done. She knows what should be done, and she's watching Meghan, allegedly, choose her image over her father's life. Samantha called it disgusting, and that's a characterization that's hard to argue with. The humanitarian award Meghan is supposed to receive now seems like the ultimate insult. It's not just ironic, it's obscene. How can you accept an award for caring about humanity when you allegedly don't care about your own father? How can you stand on a stage and talk about making the world a better place when you've reportedly left devastation in your personal life? Samantha believes this moment should disqualify Meghan from ever calling herself a humanitarian again, and the world is watching. The question is no longer whether Meghan will act. The question is whether anyone will still believe her carefully constructed image after this. Because if Thomas Markle doesn't get help, and Meghan continues to remain silent, then the fraud, as Samantha calls it, will be undeniable. Meghan Markle stepped into the spotlight on Saturday, September 20th, joining her husband Prince Harry at Kevin Costner's 1-800-5-LIVE fall benefit event. Meghan made a public appearance in a custom-made navy blue dress by Carolina Herrera. The royal posed in an elegant dress, which she complemented with an unusual accessory, Princess Diana's gold Cartier Tank Française watch, which she inherited from her late mother-in-law. This gold watch is an iconic model of the brand, which is now estimated at $27,000. The model is a watch with a small rectangular dial and an Art Deco bracelet strap. It is known that Diana wrote a personal letter with wishes to her sons, Prince William and Prince Harry, in which she asked them to share her jewelry with their future wives. "I would like you to allocate all my jewelry to the share to be held by my sons, so that their wives may, in turn, have it or use it," the princess stated in her letter. Meghan previously said in an interview what this family heirloom means to her. "I've always coveted the Cartier French tank watch," she told Hello. "I plan to give it to my daughter someday. That's what makes things special, the connection that comes with them," Markle concluded.